Welcome to the Writing, Reading, Speech Assistance area. This is a mini lesson on run-on sentences. What is a run-on sentence, and why should I care? Wait, what is a sentence anyway? You may already have ideas about how you would describe a sentence. In other words, starts with a capital letter and ends with a period is one of my favorites. But unfortunately, sentences are a bit more complicated than that. So, is a sentence a complete thought, a subject and a verb, an independent clause? All of these definitions are used, but you can almost always find exceptions to them. What makes a sentence can be a moving target, but we almost always know one when we see one. English is a subject-verb language, and the pattern of most sentences is that of a subject, or a noun, doing something, a verb. Ask yourself, to determine if a sentence is a sentence, who is doing what? So what is a run-on sentence? It is not just a long sentence. A sentence can run 2 pages long and still not be a run-on sentence. A run-on sentence is a collection of sentences or clauses which have been run together without proper punctuation. Now we're going to talk about the ways to join sentences in order to avoid run-on sentences. So the common misconception is that any sentence that is longer than a line or two has to be a run-on sentence, but this is not true. As long as the sentences are joined properly, a sentence can go on for many pages. Here are the 5 main ways to join sentences together. As I said earlier, English is a subject-verb language. We may vary how complicated the subjects and verbs are and add many different kinds of clauses to our sentences, but the basic structure remains the same. This slide has 2 sentences joined by a period. This is the most common way people put sentences together. The girl went to the concert. Her friends met her there. Each sentence has a subject and a verb. Someone doing something. In the first sentence we have a girl and she is going someplace. She went to a concert. The second sentence has another subject, her friends. And her friends did something. They met her there. Subject, verb, joined together by a period. The second example of joining sentences is with a semicolon. Here we have 2 sentences. The girl went to the concert, semicolon. She loved the group performing. Using a semicolon indicates to the reader that there is a close connection between the content of each sentence, closer generally than you would find between 2 sentences. The third way to join sentences is with a comma and a conjunction. Take this sentence as an example. The girl went to the concert, but she had to borrow money to pay for her ticket. We have a subject and a verb in the first sentence. The girl went. Following the conjunction, we have another sentence. She had to borrow money to pay for her ticket. The conjunction and the comma work together to show the reader the connection between these 2 sentences. There are 2 more examples to follow with different conjunctions. If you omit the conjunction and join these sentences only with a comma, this is what is commonly called a comma splice. If you find comma splice written on your papers by your instructors, this is what he or she is referring to. You have joined 2 sentences with a comma and no conjunction to introduce the next clause. A good way to remember your conjunctions, if you don't know this or didn't learn it in school, is by fanboys. Each letter in fanboys stands for or represents one of the conjunctions in English. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. If you remember fanboys, you will know all of the conjunctions to use in constructing sentences. Caution. If there is a conjunction, it does not always mean you have 2 sentences and it does not always mean you need a comma. For example, here are two of the previous sentences rewritten. The girl went to the concert but had to borrow money to pay for her ticket. Notice we have omitted the she, which is the second subject of the second clause. If you do not have someone doing something in that second clause, you do not need to join the two sentences with a comma and a conjunction. Second example, the girl went to the concert and had a great time there with her friends. There's a conjunction, but there is no she or subject following it, so you do not need to include the comma. Had a great time there with her friends cannot stand on its own as a sentence. This is a good way to check yourself to see whether you need to use the comma. The fourth way to join sentences is with a semicolon and a conjunctive adverb. The girl wrote a review of the concert. You have a subject and a verb. Semicolon. Furthermore, she arranged an interview with the band members. Whoa, conjunctive adverb. Don't let this term intimidate you. Grammarians feel the need to identify parts of speech and how they work. For our purposes, it's your job to know what they do, not necessarily remember what they're called. A conjunctive adverb qualifies the relationship between these two sentences. Furthermore means to add to or further what's being said about the first subject. My son and daughter both had to memorize a list of conjunctive adverbs to the tune of Yankee Doodle Dandy, which is sort of a cute idea, but I am not sure it helps unless you remember how to use them in a sentence. I'll say it again. In general, conjunctive adverbs qualify or help describe the relationship between two sentences. Remember, you need to have a subject and a verb in the first part of the sentence, and you need a subject and a verb in the second part of the sentence, joined by a semicolon and the conjunctive adverb followed by a comma. The fifth and last way to join sentences together is with a colon. This is the least common way of joining sentences. The girl went to the concert, colon. It was brilliant. I like to think of a colon as an equal sign. It lets you know that what is in the second sentence qualifies, adds to, or further enhances what is in the first sentence. Here's an example of a run-on sentence. And sometimes run-on sentences really compromise the meaning of what's being said. In this example, the girl went to the concert and she was so excited she met her friends. We don't know whether she's excited to meet her friends or she was excited to go to the concert. She had to borrow money for her ticket. It was brilliant. It was her favorite band, and she was going to write a review for school. We do not know whether borrowing money was brilliant, whether the concert was brilliant, or whether she was going to write a review about her favorite band or the whole idea of going to the concert. To fix this, we need to think about what we want to mean. I wrote these sentences, so I will go through how I would change them to be properly punctuated and also to mean what I want them to mean. So here's the revision of my original rough draft of a paragraph. The girl went to the concert and she was excited to go and to meet her friends. She had to borrow the money for her ticket. Her mom lent it to her. She loved the concert. It was brilliant. It was her favorite band. Moreover, she got to write a review for her school newspaper about the concert. You'll notice that by paying attention to punctuation and meaning, I've been able to clarify for myself and for my reader the relationship between these sentences. In the previous example, the punctuation really helped us understand, and me understand as a writer, what I meant to say. Sometimes a run-on sentence is not compromised by not being properly punctuated. In this example, the girl went to the concert and her review was brilliant. is a clear sentence, even though it is a run-on sentence. It does not have a comma before the conjunction and. So why does this matter if it doesn't interfere with meaning? Errors can lead to bad impressions. English teachers are not the only people who care about correctness in writing. In his book, Engaging Ideas, John Bean talks about a study done by Maxine Hairston, who's a composition researcher. She talked to business and professional people about the errors that bothered them most. Not surprisingly, run-on sentences were in the top category of very serious errors. What you write and how you write it matters to the impression you make on others. Making mistakes might mean the difference between getting an interview for a job or not getting the interview for a job. Thank you for listening and going through this presentation with me. Punctuation matters. It's important. And if you have questions about it or just need another pair of eyes on your writing or speech, please feel free to come to the writing, reading, speech assistance area, and we'll be more than happy to help you work on whatever it is you need to work on. Thanks.